What is going on, Crypto Paradise fam? I'm Crypto Amaru. Crypto Hitman's in the house. We are joined by the CEO of none other than Sonar. Their token is launching very soon. We are invested, full disclosure. We want to do this interview a little bit differently than we do some of our others. It's going to be a lot about Ivan and his background in crypto and some stories from the trenches. It should be a little bit fun, a little bit engaging. We'll get to the product a little bit later in the interview. So we'll cover everything. But yeah, with that, if you don't mind introducing yourself, your background in crypto, and we take it from there.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Amaru. Thanks, Crypto Hitman. Just start with a small correction. I'm not the CEO. I'm the COO of the company. CEO is
Apologies.
Jacob. He's never going to forgive me if I don't correct that. I'm Ivan, as Amaru said, originally from Belgium, but I've been living and working in Asia for the last 26 years. I was part of large multinationals and Fortune 500 companies where I was part of C-suite, developing products and running operations across Asia Pacific for companies like Galileo, Amadeus, Sendent, NetSol Technologies, and a few others. So that's sort of my professional background. And then in terms of crypto, I dove into crypto in early 2012. Now, these are the early Bitcoin days, Litecoin days. Lots of fun at that time, was just out of sort of personal curiosity. Then I really dove into the blockchain in 2015. And that was like, I wanted to understand the engine behind it. I wanted to know what does it do, what does it do, what it does, sorry, what makes it tick, what makes it work. And I investigated Ethereum and Bitcoin and the block lattice and the bit lattice and Tangle and a bunch of other, Hypernest, a bunch of Hyperledger, sorry, and a bunch of other blockchains. Build a number of use cases, and that led me to found Blockchain Labs in Thailand in 2017, which is the first government-endorsed blockchain and AI software development company in Thailand. Build some solutions for mutual fund trading platform, for real estate management, for contract management, for animal conservation and preservation, some other things. Build some interesting AI projects around the recruitment, around real estate, around some other stuff. And then in 2019, I founded Avalon Labs. And Avalon Labs is my consultancy firm. There I work closely with Asian Institute of Technology, and together with the university, we work with the governments of Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, Tibet, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and a few others, and helping them understand, what is blockchain, what is AI, what is digital transformation, how can you use that as a government, for your people. And then lastly, end of 2021, the Sonar team reached out to me, awesome project, awesome people. They said, hey, we need someone with your experience. Can you be an advisor to the project? So I said, yes. And then within 3 months, I think I joined as a full-time founding member. And that's my history.
It
There you
was
go.
funny. So I didn't know any of that prior to this, but we still aped in. We aped in. I think we had one call with these guys or something like a month ago. We did do a little bit more DD than that, to be fair.
Yes.
But I did not know a lot of that, and that's a pretty damn impressive background. You've been in the space for a long time, and that does lead me to my next question. Right? You've been in the space
Mhm.
ages. You've been through a lot. You've seen a lot. What is your take on this current market, and how do you get through like these bearish periods? What do you do? How do you cope?
Well, I've been in the space since 2012, right? So I've been here 12 years, and I was in Bangkok for DEF CON Bangkok a couple of months ago, and I was literally the oldest person there. So I've been around the block for a few times, and I've been around the block for a number of things. Like I was around even when the dot-com era happened and the dot-com crash and all of those things I've lived through, and it teaches you patience, and that's something I tell people all the time. Like yes, buy into projects that you believe in, do your research, but learn patience. Like if you think you're going to become a millionaire overnight, you're not. It's far and few between that happens. Have patience. The markets are cyclical. It doesn't matter which market you're in; they're cyclical. They will go to bearish periods. They will go to bull periods. You just have to be patient. And as long as you can do that, so don't overinvest, invest what you can afford to lose. I mean, I know this is something a lot of people say, it's true. Then you can be patient. If you need that money tomorrow, you're always going to wreck yourself. It's as simple as that. If you don't need that money tomorrow, you can wait out for a year. It's not going to be a problem. You're going to make money, but you have to be patient.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's I was just gonna say, I think it's something a lot of people forget. And you back here in 2012, what do you think of the market dynamics now? When you're that early, there was only a handful of altcoins. Now on Pump.Fund,
Yeah,
there's 10,000 altcoins a day. So I think it becomes
yes.
harder and harder to weed through all the garbage to try to find real winners, but also it's sucking liquidity from the real winners as people try to chase these other, fantasies or meme coins or everything else. Like the market dynamics are quite different. What do you think about that?
They're a world apart. Like when I ventured into crypto, it was Bitcoin, it was Litecoin, and a little bit later Ethereum. Like there wasn't much, and it was still in its infancy in that sense. Like Bitcoin obviously hasn't changed, but it was that was it, and it was for me it was sort of interesting. Like one Bitcoin was I think about $1 or something at the time. And like, is this going to go anywhere? Does this have a practical use case? It was just interesting. And you're right. Nowadays, there's what, 10,000 coins launched every day. There's millions and millions of coins. How do you keep track? You need tools. It's as simple as that. You can't, as a human, you can't. So you got to find an area, first of all, that you're comfortable in, right? You got to find an area in the space that you're comfortable in, whether that's meme coins, whether that's utility, whether that is layer one, layer two, whatever area it is that you're like, I understand this part of the space. I'm comfortable here. That's where my main investments are going to be. And then you can branch out and you can say, hey, this meme coin culture, let me put a few $100s in there. Don't put it all in one project. Split it out, see if something works or not, if something sticks. But yeah, you need tools. There's no way, like if I compare it to even, let's say, 2017, there were a lot of projects, but it wasn't a mass market launching of projects every single day like it is now. So it
Right.
becomes impossible to keep track without tools.
Yeah, even the 2017, which was the first real like altcoin run with ICOs and all this, it's still you could
Yeah,
go on like Coin Market Cap and look through like the top 200 coin lists and get all the information you need from those two pages. Now it's like, if
absolutely.
a project isn't in the top 300, it's like that doesn't even touch anything on Solana or Radium or any of those assets, which is, crazy
And
world that we live
and
in now
and
with
you
crypto.
miss. You just miss it. It's stuff happens all the time. Like you need to be online 24/7 if you want to keep track of what's going on, or you need to have tools that do it for you. And 2017 was a great period. ICOs were very, very different than what they are today. They're even very different from what were in 2021. Like the market is changing so quickly. You continuously need to research not just like, is this token right for me, but like what are the market dynamics? What is shifting? You had Deepin coming up last year. You had, Social Fi at some point, you had GameFi. They all kind of went. Some of them are still around, RWA is still around, but it changes very, very quickly. So if you find that niche that you're interested in, you really have to pay attention because, it might be around for 4 to 6 months and it doesn't mean you can't make money. You can, but you seriously have to pay attention.
Yeah, I think that's really solid advice. It's hard, man. It's just this space is coming at you 1,000 miles an hour, millions of projects seemingly launching all the time. I think it's very good advice to find your niche because you're not going to be good at everything. It's just
No.
impossible. But yeah, so you've been around like a while, right? Tell us a couple times that you didn't heed your own advice and you were impatient or you otherwise just wrecked yourself. Because I'm sure there's been those times. You haven't been perfect. No one has.
Oh no, I haven't been perfect at all. The one thing I can still claim to this day is that I've never been scammed. Um,
That
I
is
mean
actually very
that
impressive.
yeah, and it came close a couple of times. Like I had projects reach out to me over the years. Like I've had projects reach out to me since I think 2015. Like, hey, can you help us write a white paper, all that kind of stuff. And a few of those were sketchy. And as I was writing the document, I was like, this is sketchy. I don't. This goes against my principles, and that's the first thing. Like, don't do stuff that goes against your principles. It doesn't matter how much money is involved, but don't do stuff that goes against your principles. And if you feel that it goes that way, step away. And that's how I avoided being scammed a couple of times. One time I got really lucky, and this goes back in history for some people, but that was BitConnect. Like BitConnect, 2017, it was blowing up. It was blowing up all over YouTube. It was everywhere, every forum I was in, everyone I was talking to. It was like BitConnect, what do you think about this thing? And then I started digging into it and I actually wrote about it at that time. Like I had a blog at the time where I was writing about different projects. So I approached projects always a little bit differently. I always started looking at, it's kind of do your own research, but then I would write it out for other people. So I would dig in deeper, like, why does this work? And, because I've been around such a long time, what I've learned very, very long ago, before even crypto, was that Anyone that promises you like even a 5% return on investment on a daily basis, it's talking bullshit. I'm
Yeah.
sorry the word, but it's complete nonsense. It doesn't exist. If that existed, right? And that's the first thing you have to ask yourself. If you can get a 5% return on investment on a daily basis, why do you need my money? That's the first thing I always ask myself. Why do you need my money? Why are you launching this project that's going to give me these massive returns on investment, over a year's time with compound interest? These are like, we're talking 3,000, 5,000% interest. Why do you need my money if you have that product? You don't. You need $100 invested in your own project. And by the end of the year, you're a billion. So it's a scam. Like for me, these are sort of very early indicators of, is this actually going to work? Like, why do you need my money? Is the first thing I ask myself always. Like, why do you need my investment if it is this beautiful of a technology or whatever? And that saved me a lot of times from losing money. I can tell you that. Have I lost money? Of course. In the early days of Bitcoin, what do you expect? I've lost private keys. I've lost Bitcoin. There's somewhere out there, some wallets I can still look at the wallet and cry because I don't have the keys to it anymore. But it wasn't worth that much at the time. It was like I said, I think when I bought in, it was like $1, maybe $2. I wasn't investing thousands of dollars in it because it was a niche thing. And so yeah, of course, if you look at it now, you say, well, Jesus Christ, you lost millions of dollars. Sure. But the reality is I would never have kept those Bitcoin that long, even if I still had access to them. Right? If I look
That's
at
the thing.
2017, like this is something I remember because I did it at the time. Like in August, I think, or July or August 2017, Bitcoin was $1,000. By December, it was 20,000. I still had a few. I sold them. Simple as that. Yeah, you can say now, well, but now it's worth 100. Yeah, but that's 2017, 7 years ago. It was the perfect time to sell. Do that. Yeah, cash in on your profits. Don't just let them be out there forever because there's no guarantee that it's going to go that high. So
Yeah.
if you buy in now, it's still going to grow. Is it going to grow as exponentially as it did back then? Of course not. It can't. Right? For Bitcoin to go from $1 in 2012, 7 years later, $20,000 to do that again, this 20x right now, it'd be billions. It's not going to do that. Understand that it's not going to do that. Doesn't mean you can't make money.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that people neglect to realize when they hear about OG stories is those who were in early and assuming they didn't lose the Bitcoins, which
A
a
lot
lot
of us did.
of them did, but you would have sold it at some point along the way.
Yes.
Nobody would have hailed from 1,000 to 100K. Very few people anyway. You're talking about from $1 to 100,000. Impossible.
Okay.
It would be foolish too, as a matter of fact. It's not just
It, it,
impossible. It would have been foolish to not take in
it,
some profits along the way. So people get, oh, I wish I was early. I still think we're all early in this space. If you look at the
yeah.
global adoption of crypto assets, it's 5% of the global population. I think that's probably a high end estimate because I think they're looking at all the wallets that are around and people, we all have 20 wallets. So I think it's less than 5% of the global population is even have exposure to this asset class. Yeah, so we have a ton of room for growth. But yeah, I don't people get all depressed. Oh, it's I was early. I could have been earlier. I could have been. Yeah,
It's the
just chill
hindsight, right?
out. It's fine. You can still make money in this space. But
Yeah.
what do you do? What before we turn to Sonar? One final question: what are you doing now? Like, what's your take on this current market? Because we just had the spaces, right? We're talking about how this market feels weird.
Mhm.
Bitcoin's like, at or close to all-time highs. So we got the crypto president Trump and his family like cheerleading from like X all the time. New policies that are pro-crypto seem to be coming to the fore. Oh, the bearish people that were in the SEC, they're gone. Like all this positive news, Bitcoin all-time highs, and yet altcoins are on the shitter and everyone's sentiment is super low. What's your take on what's going on right now? How do we make sense of this?
It is weird. And it's not something I can compare to previous markets. Like it is so different this time around. And I think you're right. I mean, the regulation is catching up. Now, a lot of people, again, depends on who you talk to. Like some of my earlier friends from the very early days of Bitcoin, they're like, oh, regulation is bad. Regulation is always bad. No, it isn't. There is a need for regulation in this space for it to become a true mass market space. It's as simple as that. Joe Public isn't going to buy in if they have a chance of losing their savings the next day. Then that's not going to happen. So regulation to a degree is necessary. That doesn't change. You can have regulation and decentralization. They are not mutually exclusive. So regulation plays a role. Now, of course, what's happening right now is you've got like, a very, very pro cryptocurrency president in the United States, but it's still a lot of words and there still needs to be a delivery. And I think a lot of people sort of, let's wait and see. And unfortunately, and I really don't want to dive into politics, but unfortunately, I think there is a history with this president of making promises and then not delivering. And so there is campaign promises being made that need to be delivered on, I think, before people really believe it. And you'll see it, it'll come. I'm not saying it's not going to come, but it'll come. But I think people are a little bit of standoffish. Also investors, especially, VCs. There's a lot of market being eaten up by investors right now, by institutional investors, not individuals. That's going to change the market dynamic, right? The big boys are coming in. They want the price to be low to come in, and then the price can go high, and then they'll be very, very happy. So again, it sort of goes into the same principle of, invest money that you can afford to lose, but then you can also wait. And then you'll ride that same wave as the ones that are investing millions that you may not have at your disposal, but that doesn't mean you can't ride that same wave. So it's a strange market. Is it going to go in the right direction? I do believe so. Exactly when, that's impossible. If I knew that, it's the $100 story, I wouldn't be building software. I'd just be sitting on a beach, right? So no, when exactly it's going to turn around, I don't know. But will it turn around? Like, will it progressively get better? I do believe so. But I think it's a little bit campaign promises need to be delivered, or at least, a clearer view of what that's going to mean needs to be delivered. Right now, it's a bit chaos. And I think people are always a little bit afraid of chaos because there's a whole transition of power taking place, and there's, Elon going in and cleaning up the government. And it's a chaotic approach which scares people. So people will probably a little bit like, wait and see, for a while before I jump in. But you know what? That can turn around tomorrow. That can turn around next week. That is the one thing we can't predict. Will it turn around? Yes. Exactly when? Soon, I think.
Yeah, I was going to agree with you. I think right now we're seeing like a disconnect between institutional fervor and retail just really isn't participating yet. We're seeing inflows for the Bitcoin ETF going off every day positively, almost every single day. Same for the Ethereum ETF. And yet we're seeing altcoins kind of squander and just kind of flounder down here. And I think the big boys, like you said, are getting involved, and the retail hasn't really woken up to that. Less capital, a little fear of the undetermination of what's going on macroeconomically and everything else. And I think it's just the time's going to come. Now, we do know in 2017, it was the end of February when alt season really kicked off. And, we're early February here in 2025 after the Bitcoin halving year. So really, historically, if you skip last cycle and you go back 2 cycles, we're right on track for what's normal for altcoins. But yes, I do think there is a disconnect currently where it's weird that we have all this institutional fervor, all these big name people talking about it with big money getting involved in MicroStrategy. But remember, they're not really trickling down to altcoins yet. They're really just scratching the surface by buying some of the Ethereum ETF. And we need the Ethereum Foundation to stop selling, them to keep, hyping on the Ethereum train. And then eventually that money's going to flow down into the mid-cap place. So we'll see.
100%. 100% agree with that. Like I said, it's hard to predict. This is kind of what we see the cycle potentially being. Is there going to be a cycle? Yes, markets are cyclical. That's not a question mark. Like, there's always a cycle, unless it can even go down further. I don't believe it will. It can go down further. It will still go up. Bitcoin as the granddaddy coin, it has this inherent need to grow. It has an inherent need built in that it always needs to become higher in price. And that is related to the mining. So at some point it goes up. And the rest will follow. But exactly when, as you said, Ethereum needs to take over, altcoins need to, that needs to trickle down into altcoins. It'll happen. It has not happened yet. Is it far away, close by? You're going to hold me against that, so I'm not going to tell you.
When moon, damn it.
When moon. When Lambo.
I actually think this is a great segue to talk a little bit. We're going to have you on again to talk more about the product. But let's talk about the product, because the product, Sonar, is kind of helping people make sense of the markets to a large degree. So it's kind of a software that based on what we're talking about. So tell us about Sonar. What's the product? What problem is it solving? We'll get to token utility and stuff like that. But and how it relates to everything we just discussed.
it's oh, there you go. All right. Thank you. It's sort of it's an agentic network, right? So it's an AI-based network that has, right now, I believe 28 agents in it that all have very different functions. But again, it's built towards easy consumption, easy use by consumers. So as a user, you're only talking to one AI agent. But before I get into that, Sonar started with a small group of people in Telegram, 200, I believe, that grew to about 20,000 people in a couple of months' time. That sort of led the foundation of, we need to solve this problem. It was all about educating each other, helping each other. What are the tools that you should be using? And realizing that some of the tools that are available are just not doing the promise or delivering the promise that they have. So we said, all right, we need to develop a solution for this. And our first approach was we need access to the actual data. So the first thing we did was actually index the blockchains and get the live transaction data as well as the historical data from the chains and build that into a structured database. And the reason for doing that was very simple. That allows us to populate charts, with up to the 20 millisecond accurate information, which is what you need as a trader. But at the same time, we needed this data for our AI agentic network. That's what our network can actually use. So we have a UI component, which is called Sonar Studio, where you have a charting tool, you have newsroom, you have a fiat on-off ramp, you have a swap, a bridge, you have an academy, you have trends, upcoming portfolio analytics, a whole bunch of stuff already there for anyone that comes into crypto. It's basically, for lack of a better term, it's a one-stop shop. Everything you need in one place. Now that is augmented by our AI agent network. So that is a network of, like I said, 28 agents that all work together. And you have a risk management agent, you have, a financial analyst agent, you have tracking agents, you have a whole variety of agents in the background. And as a user, you're just communicating with one. And that one agent is great at communicating. It doesn't know anything else, but it's really, really good at communicating. So whenever you ask it a question, it goes back to the other 27 and says, hey, here's a problem that's been posed to me. How do we solve this problem, right? That can be like, we need to review a portfolio of this user. Let's review the portfolio. We need to do risk analysis. We need to build an investment strategy. We need to build a DCA strategy. Anything you want to ask it, even if it's just like, hey, explain to me what Bitcoin is, or explain to me how a block lattice works, or whatever. It can answer those questions because it asks it to the agents in the background. As a user, you have this platform called Sonar Studio, which has all the charting tools, everything else built in. And you have this AI agent that's coming out, at the end of this quarter. And they work in unison. So the AI can actually use our charts. And so it can plot charts for you. It can show you what it is talking about in a visual format. Okay? Similarly, it can, if you work on it to set up a DCA strategy, it can set up that strategy for you and it can execute that strategy. It can show you what that's going to look like. It has this visual element, which is our UI platform, our ecosystem, and it can use that ecosystem. It can interact with our wallets. It can interact with charts. That's the reason we built those things. And because there are perfect, great charting tools out in the industry, but our AI can't interact with them. So we needed one that actually could work with. So you have an entire ecosystem, including our AI wealth manager, that is there at your disposal. And I think Mike likes to put it this way. Think of it as having 28 different employees that are sitting there working on your portfolio. And that's what it is. Now, what is the great thing about it? I think, Hitman, you said it earlier. There's 10,000 coins coming out every day. There's no way for you to track it. But guess what? A computer can. AI can. So you can say, hey, I like investing in, meme coins as an example. And I want this particular type of meme coins. You can have a conversation with the AI, say, if something like that launches, I want you to tell me. I want to know when that goes into the market. And it will send you a message, say, hey, based on your request, here's the information, right? So it has a reactive component to it where you're asking questions, you're talking to it. It follows through on that. You can then give it follow-on instructions, like you say, hey, set up trades, execute the trades, whatever. And it has a proactive part to it, which is very important. That proactive part is as soon as you connect your portfolio, meaning your wallet, to the AI, it knows what is in your wallet. It can analyze your wallet. It can look at every single transaction you've done and give you information about that transaction. However, more importantly, it also has a proactive element to it, which means it looks at your wallet and then looks at what is happening in the market. Is there news around an asset in your wallet that you should be aware of? So let's say that you have 100 coins in your wallet. Lots of us do airdrops, a whole bunch of stuff in our wallet, multiple wallets very often. It can look at those wallets and say, hey, there's a token unlock happening on one of your assets. It can then tell you, historically speaking, when there's a token unlock on this asset, this is what happens. If there is a history, if that had happened before. So you can say, historically, this is what happens. You have tokens. This is what you're holding at the moment. Your current position is profit, loss, whatever your position is. Now, what do we want to do about this? Historically, when there's an unlock, the price goes down. You're currently in profit. Do you want to carve out your profit today and continue holding that asset? Do you want to sell all of the assets? Do you want to just hold? Do you want to buy more at the unlock event? What do you want to do? You give it instructions and it then executes them when the event happens. So you don't have to sit there and wait for 2 weeks like, oh yeah, and remember this thing is going to happen. No, you can instruct it in 2 weeks' time, purchase more. Today, carve out profit. Or, wait, see if the price goes up between now and then, but if it goes below this, sell. You can give it all of those instructions to actually manage that for you.
Yeah, that seems like that could be a really, really powerful tool. And I chuckled a little bit when you said it can read your wallet and make comments on it, because I just picture AI agents talking shit on our rug pull tokens that we got involved with.
Well, it has a little nasty side to it if we want. It has that persona. It can be a little, but no, it is there. Comments in terms of like, hey, if I look at your overall portfolio, like I look at your wallet and you've got this 20 different assets, and let's do some risk management. Let's do some risk mitigation. Like you're way over invested in stable coins. Like you've got a great portfolio, but guess what? If your risk tolerance level is here and your investment in stable coins, is this high, you should be reducing that investment because of your risk tolerance, right? So it looks at that and says, hey, based on your trading behavior, which you can learn over time, but initially based on your risk tolerance levels, this is what I would suggest you do your portfolio. Here's some things you could invest in to stabilize your portfolio. So you always have, you don't want to invest in just one thing. If that thing does, it's great if that thing does well, because then you're going to make a lot of money. But in most cases, 99% of the time, that thing is not going to do well, and then you lose all your money. You don't want that. You want to diversify your portfolio, so it can help you with that. You want to do a DCA strategy, it can set that up for you. You can say like, hey, I want to invest $5,000 in these 3 types of coins over the next 30 days. Set up a strategy. It will strategize all the trades for you. You just have to approve them and it can execute them. Like it is literally there to help you on your entire crypto journey.
Well, that's what I love about this product, because it goes back to what we were saying earlier. This space is chaotic, it's complex, it's highly risky, it's scary. So now it seems like with Sonar, there's finally a tool out there that can help the average person make sense of it all. And I'm sure it's not going to give 100% win weight or whatever, nothing's financial advice is ever, but something to help the average Joe, right? Mitigate some of their potential losses, maximize potential returns, help them, diversify their portfolio, get out of assets that's going to be some unlock or some airdrop or something coming up. I mean, there's a lot to like here. And I also like the fact that it was built based on your guys' own needs. Yeah. That's the best kind of product. It's like, okay, these guys had this problem. In fact, everyone in crypto's had this problem of being overinvested, too many things, not know what the hell's going on, and of course, losing money as a result of that. So, with AI and the AI agents, you got the 28 agents basically working for you. I mean, it sounds like a brilliant product. We only have about 6 minutes left in this video. We'll have you on again. But before we end this, tell us about the token and the token utility, because we've invested in the token.
Yes.
What the heck did I invest in?
So we have a token. Yes, we have a ping token. So what does that mean, right? It's a utility token. So it is the lifeblood of the platform, right? When the platform goes live, again, later, when the platform goes fully live, anything you do in terms of transactions on the platform, there's a small transaction fee. And we keep our fees low, and I'll get into that in a second. But obviously that transaction fee translates into ping. So there is a reason to hold ping. Now, the other reason to hold ping, of course, as a user, is you get benefits on the platform. Right? You get advanced features, you get access to more AI credits, you get, participation in a DAO that we're building around Launchbase. At the same time, we have a whole B2C element to the platform. So we have advertisement space in the platform. We have the APIs to our data, that we're making available to people outside of Sonar. The same with the AI agents, right? We can plug in more agents. We can also allow people to use our agents. So that's on the B2C, on the B2B side, sorry, where again, all of those transactions are based on using ping. And therefore, there is a need to have the token to use the platform, both from a B2C and a B2B end. Wherefore, the higher the need, the more people need to buy the token, price stabilization, etc. I don't need to explain that. Now, one of the things I mentioned is that, for us, it's all about accessibility. It's about accessibility for current people, current traders, maxis, professional traders in the space that can use the AI at a much higher level than most people can, but it's there for them to use. But it's also about making it accessible to everyone. So Studio, by and large, like charts, newsroom, etc., they're free to use and they will always be free to use. It comes to portfolio analytics. That's where there's a subscription fee. So portfolio analytics and the AI. And we're looking at a starting price point of $10 per month. So we're talking about 2 cups of coffee, the price of 2 cups of coffee per month. That gives you full portfolio analytics tools that give you access to the AI. That means daily AI credits. You can ask it questions, you can have it execute stuff for you. Obviously, if you're a professional trader, you're going to use it more, therefore you'll have to buy more credits. The price point will go up a little bit, but the starting price is roughly around $10 a month. And that's the goal, to allow anyone to use it. And if it works well for you and it makes you money, you will use it more. Yes, you'll pay a little bit more, but that's, it's a return on investment cost at that point in time.
And you also tell your friends.
Yes,
Cool spread.
absolutely.
To me, it's like, utility plays are not easy, right? You got to build a product that people want to use first and foremost. And then the utility works because people will actually buy the token, hold the token, pay you monthly subscriptions, whatever the case may be, to utilize this thing. But the product that you built sounds very useful. I think everybody needs this to one degree or another. I don't think there's a single portfolio out there that could not be improved at least somewhat. Right?
100%.
I'm sure everyone's can have some opportunity for improvement or a lot of opportunity for improvement, depending. So,
And
you guys have built something. That's what it comes down to.
One of the things we haven't done it yet, but one of the things we're looking at is well, number one, this year, one of the things we're going to focus on is the C5 space. So not just D5, but also C5, which means, everyone in the space has some money somewhere on a centralized exchange. We shouldn't, but we all do it, right? So what we're doing is we're also opening up the C5 space this year. So that means that the AI can start looking at a unified portfolio. What do you have in C5? What do you have in D5? Unified portfolio. That also means there's potential for arbitrage opportunities that you could work on with the AI, for example. Another thing we're looking at, but again, hasn't been implemented yet, is automated yield management on part of your portfolio. If you're like me, you've been in the space for a long time. I've got tokens back from 2017 and earlier that I, number one, completely forgot about. Number two, haven't looked at in years. Why not have them give me some yield? So one of the things you'll be able to do in future is to segregate part of your wallet in Sonar wallet and say, look, the tokens in that wallet, AI, you do the yield management there. You go and do it for me. I'm not going to look at them. I'm going to focus on the ones that I'm daily active in, but I'm not going to focus on the ones that, I got 1,000 days ago that I haven't paid attention to, and I'm never going to pay attention to, because you cannot, as an individual, pay attention to 100 tokens a day. But you can focus on 5 or 6, and you can give the others to the AI and say, do yield management. Again, not
that's what I want to do. I want to give my whole portfolio to AI. I'm lazy. Give it all to AI. That'll be a better trader than I am. We got to end this interview in a couple seconds here, but we're going to have you on again. Tell us about where we can find more about Sonar, how to join the community, all that stuff. Because
join us on X. Like every project in space is on X. So join us at X. That's Sonar ping _. From there, you can immediately get onto Telegram. I think there's a link there. You can also go to sonarplatform.io, and from there find a link to all of our socials. We're very active on Telegram. The whole management team is doxed. We are very active on Telegram. You join our main chat. You're going to find us there throughout the day. Amaru, I've seen you there a couple of times as well.
I'm there. You guys are there. Awesome interview. We got to end it because I got to jump. But great stuff. We're going to have you on again soon, guys, and you'll see a lot more content coming up for Crypto Paradise about Sonar. Great stuff, guys.
And Thank you very much. Dude.